What's going on YouTube? OCD for EDC here, and what I got for your face balls today is the Asher Knives Sentry. This right here is a pretty cool little knife. Now there's some things that I don't know about Asher, and we're going to talk about it a little bit because I'm not sure exactly where these knives come from. So real quick here, this is the box that it ships in. And it doesn't really give you any information on the box. Just a pretty standard box. Says Asher Knife Co. And the reason why I say I don't know a whole lot about these is because I'm not sure exactly where these knives are made. I did a little bit of research online. I didn't really find any information about it, about where these knives are actually produced. However, it is a good little knife, and we are going to talk about it. So first things first, we'll do a little size comparison here, and I'm sure you guys already know what this knife's going to compare well to. Of course, the Benchmade Bug Out, as well as the Hogue Knives Deca. And then I also have the the Amari knives made by Real Steel Field Bro. So you can see all four of these knives are effectively doing the exact same thing. Very similar in size, very similar in cutting edge, shape anyway. A few slight differences here and there. They're all running a bar style lock, like the Axis lock or the Able lock. I'm not sure exactly what Asher is calling their setup. But either way, all four of these knives are very, very similar. Now, there are several differences. Blade materials, handle thickness, and I'll set them all up here so you can get an idea of the thickness of each of these guys. But, yeah, today we're going to be looking at the Asher. So, the Asher Sentry, or Centuri, I don't know how they pronounce it, but the only difference between this knife and then they have another model called a Nomad is the harpoon on the blade. So the Nomad does not have the poon. The Centuri has the poon, and you guys know how much I like the poon. So I like, this definitely appeals to me. I like blades with harpoons on them. I just think it gives a little visual interest, and yeah. So right now you can see that it's a little bit tight, but hopefully we're going to fix that up. We're going to disassemble it and check out and see what it's got going on the inside. All right. So dimensions on this thing. You got an overall length of 7.448 inches. Got a handle length of 4.224. Got a blade length of 3.224. Got a handle thickness of 440 thousandths, so just slightly under a half of an inch thick. Got a blade stock thickness of 86 thousandths and a behind the edge thickness of 13 thousandths. This is a Saber flat ground blade, so you can see that the primary grind starts right there. So this top section is flat. You do have this fuller that runs the majority of the blade. It's not really functional. It's really just there to relieve some weight, as well as give a little visual interest. In the closed position, the fuller is tight enough into the handle you can't use that to spidey flick it. So this is a thumb stud only knife. And then we'll get a weight on this thing. So there you go. 3.465 ounces for essentially a 3¼ inch blade. Pretty cool little knife, and we are going to talk about it. So we also got a couple extra little parts here. Now, this knife was graciously loaned to me by one of my viewers, William. And thank you very much, William. I've really enjoyed getting to check this thing out. It's a great little knife. So apparently these come from the factory with this stainless steel backspacer. This one here has been changed out for a white G10. I really like the look of the white G10. And of course, the G10 is going to be lighter than the stainless steel. It's not going to be a huge difference though, and we'll weigh the G10 when we get it out. But I'll show you here real quick. I mean, even the stainless steel one doesn't weigh a whole lot. You're looking at 0.236 ounces or 6.67 grams. So not a lot of weight there. But like I said, we'll weigh the other one when we get it out. Now, this knife is running Omega style springs, which here are a couple of extra springs. I'm not sure if the knife automatically comes with extra springs. If it does, that's awesome, because you guys know Omega springs do fail. William happens to be destroyer of Omega springs. It is amazing how many he breaks. But anyway, so I don't know if he ordered these separately or if they actually send them with the knife. The other thing that I know he added to the order, so I'm pretty positive that this is the original clip. This is the clip that it would come with from the factory, but you do have the option for the little short clip. So the clip is reversible. It does have a block-off plate there, but those are the two clip options that you have, and the clips are real reasonable. You know, they're like $7 to $10 to purchase the clips. So I think that's, you know, very, very reasonable. And then we also, you can see here, have two phosphor bronze washers. I have not disassembled this knife, but just looking down in there, it's going to be kind of hard for you guys to see. But right now it looks like it's running on Teflon washers. Like I said, the action on it is good. This knife has not really been used at all. So it is a little bit tight, but I'm guessing we can improve that. It also feels pretty dry in there, so I don't really think there's any lubricant, although Teflon is kind of a self-lubricating material. So anyway, you're looking at G10 handle scales. Got stainless steel liners, and they are full liners. So, you know, in comparison to the bug out, the Asher is quite a bit heavier. Just to give you an idea, you know, we're also looking at like 3 1/4 inch blade here on the bug out. Put it back on ounces. 1.886 ounces. So just under 2 ounces for the bug out. And for what essentially is the same size knife, you know, 3.46 ounces. So there is a substantial difference in weight. But this doesn't feel overly heavy. You know, it feels totally adequate for what it is. However, it is I'm pretty sure it's the heaviest of the knives that I showed here. For comparison, the Hogue Deca is 2.62, and the Amari Knives Field Bro is 3.28. Yeah, so the Asher is the heaviest of these. All right. So what we got here for hardware, we got T8 pivot. It is tooled on both sides. And then you got T6 body screws, T6 pocket clip screws. So all that is just fine. So let's, we're going to go ahead and start disassembly. Oh, and right off the bat, yeah. So that body screw is free spinning. Now this one appears, no, it's free spinning as well. Okay. I have to get out my other driver set here. All right. T6. All right. So there's one screw out. Free spinning hardware, always Always kind of a pain in the butt. So the reason that I was talking about where these knives are made, and the main reason that I bring that up is because overall the construction on this is very good. The fit and finish on it's great, and you've got great materials here. You got this steel gray G10 with the white G10 backspacer, and you can see right here you have S35 VN blade steel, which is really fantastic. And this knife is, depending on options, the price ranges from $68.50 to $72.50. So, $69 to $73 for this knife, which makes that an amazing bargain. But that also leads me to believe that this knife is most likely made in China. I don't know that 100%. That's just my guess. But based off of the prices, in comparison for very similar knives, here with the Deca with 20 CV blade steel, this is an American made knife, but this thing's like $140, so, double the price. And same thing with the bug out. I think the stock 535 bug out is like 120, somewhere in that range, with S30V blade steel. So, the price is putting it into a category that is very, the pivot. I was just prepared for the pivot to be free spinning as well, and it is. So, there you go. But the price puts it into a category that makes me believe that it's most likely made overseas. And, not that there's I don't have a huge problem with that or anything. Oh, you can see, I don't know if that's grease or if that's, I think that's dried Loctite. But hopefully, I'm just holding the lock bar back here, and I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to push. There we go. Push the pivot right out just like that. All right. So here we see the blade, and there's your two Teflon washers. Grab a rag here. So here's the blade tang. Pretty standard fare. It does have a nice level of finish on it, which is good. And then there was a little bit of oil in here on these Teflon washers. I like how wide the Teflon washers are, so you've got a lot of surface area there, so a lot of lateral stability on the blade, which is really nice. I think we're going to try out the phosphor bronze washers when we reassemble this. So now I'm going to go ahead and pull off this back plate, or the block off plate for the pocket clip, so we can remove this scale, and then you can see the there we go. You can see the Omega spring set up there. Very, very similar to Benchmade and all the others. That's just pretty standard setup. And you can see here that these are full liners. There's no weight relieving going on. All right, I'm just going to remove this Omega spring right there. Okay. Now, we'll go ahead and remove the pocket clip as well. There we go. And now we should be able to disassemble the whole thing. You do have this one stop pin up here at the front. Yeah, and because these screws are free spinning, and there's shoulders, I can't get that out. Yeah, and that's a little bit of an ordeal. Because of the free spinning nature of this, I can't get these two screws out without a lot of messing around. So now, just clean this up a little bit. Let's get all this gunk out of here around the pivot. So you can see all the dried Loctite there on my rag. So it's a good thing they didn't put too much Loctite on it, but okay. So all in all, if if you're a fan of the Benchmade bug out, and if a little bit of extra weight doesn't bother you a lot with this knife, I think the Asher is a pretty cool knife for sure, especially for that price. Definitely a good quality piece. It's made extremely well, and like I said, I'm confident that it's made overseas just based on the price. But compared to a lot of other knives on the market, the price here is really fantastic. So that's great. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and stick this scale on just to keep the Omega spring from coming out. We'll go ahead and put this block off plate back on. Oop, of course. So when disassembling, if you want to take this whole knife apart, you'd want to tighten, make sure you can break the screws loose from both directions before you just totally remove them, because those back to body screws are free spinning. That's kind of a bummer, if they made those D-shaped, would make this whole process much, much nicer. In my time with this knife, both pocket clips, I did have the longer clip. Both pocket clips work really well. This one is a little bit less comfortable in hand just because it doesn't bend back and run parallel with the scale. So it does poke your hand a little bit right there, but it's not terrible. So both clips work well. All right. Let's see if we can. I'm just feeling the washers here to see if there's any sort of die tear on them. Now they feel pretty good all the way around. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of KPL here. I'm going to put a little around the pivot. And then I'm going to drop the washers on, and the surface tension of the oil should keep them stuck there. Had a little too much oil there. All right. Now I am going to attempt, this is always the fun part right here, is getting all this back into place. All right. Well, one of my washers just came off here. So I just got it lined up inside there. And now alright, I'm going to stick the pivot screw in just enough to hold that washer there. Oh, I knocked it out of the way. Alright, there we go. Now I got the washer where I want it. Hopefully I'll be able to keep it there. Alright, now I've got everything right where it needs to be, but I knocked my pivot screw out, so I just shoved that driver through there to hold it for right now. So now I'm going to pull the access bar back. Actually, I'm just going to close the blade, try and line that up as best we can, and then try and stab. There we go. Pivot right through the center. Perfect. All right, grab our T8 driver here. Gotta love free spinning hardware. Alright, so blade looks pretty centered. Oh, we got blade play. Let me tighten this up just a bit. Still have blade play. Oh. Just got an alert on my phone, guys, that we're going to have winter snow squalls, they said. So that's interesting. I don't know that I've ever had an alert like that. So now we definitely have got no blade play, but it's a little too tight. Blade is centered. Let me make sure these body screws are tight. Oh, body screws aren't even in. Holy hell, I'm losing my mind, folks. Probably be a pretty good reason why our blade was off center, huh? Yeah, and they're just free spinning. So, the biggest bummer about this is all the free spinning hardware. You know, D-shapes on the standoffs and on the pivot is not a difficult thing to do. So, that's just a bummer. However, hopefully not something you really have to deal with very much. So, the blade is ever so slightly favoring the clip side, and it's a little bit tight, but I also think that it will break in quite nicely. So I'm probably going to leave it there, just being a little bit tight. Like I said, I have no doubts that it'll break in extremely well. So overall impressions here, you know, I love the fact that you've got some options here for parts. You know, one of the things with a lot of these smaller companies, there's really no aftermarket support. But you have, you know, 2 clip options and they're reasonable price, you know, $7 to $10 for a clip. So whether you want the long clip or the short one, that's really cool. You can, obviously, like I said, I don't know if these came with the knife for that $69 to $73, but either way you can purchase them, which is fantastic. You can do either Teflon washers or the phosphor bronze, which is really cool, and I do like the size of the Teflon. Gives the blade a lot of lateral support, which is great. I wish these phosphor bronze would have been that size as well. And then also they have a brand new model coming that has brass caged ceramic ball bearings. So that's cool as well, and those are supposed to be out here very, very soon, judging by their website. So I really like the steel gray color. I like the G10 backspacer. That's really cool. The only real issue that I have with this knife is the free spinning hardware, which is a simple fix. Hopefully that's something that they will do moving forward. And like I said, you know, I would really like to know where these knives come from. Not that that's a deal breaker for me, but it would just be nice to know. As far as the blade steel is concerned, I have not done an edge retention test on this, so I'm not sure exactly how this S35 stacks up to, say, this S35. I can just about guarantee you that this S35VN will probably way outperform this one. However, you know, Chris Reeves, they really do S35 better than anyone, and they should. You know, that was a Chris Reeves development with CPM. So, but the Asher knives, you know, I think they're bringing a lot of value to the table here, and it's just a really great knife. It looks great. It functions well. Really like the harpoon on it. Everybody's got to love the poon. And, you know, for that kind of money, I think it's a fantastic knife. You're getting, yeah, really great materials, really great construction with the exception of the free spinning hardware. And even that I can deal with. You know, it's not like you're taking it apart every single day. It's just makes it more frustrating to deal with when you do take it apart. So anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed that. Asher Knives, go check them out online. Check out the new knives coming. They also have a couple of other models, and all of their models seem to be priced extremely well. They have apparently their first model they came out with, which I had not heard of at the time, is called the Asher Classic, and it's a small little thumb stud flipper knife, and it's a frame lock, and it's D2 blade. They're $50. And then they also have got another model that is a flipper knife, and it is called the Silva, also a frame lock knife, and it ranges in price from $65 to $98.50 depending on options. So, you know, everything that they're doing, they're keeping under $100, which I think is really fantastic. And so definitely someone to look at. Asher Knives right there. Asher Knife Co. Go and check them out online. And hopefully you guys enjoyed that one. Thanks. We'll catch you next time. I'm out.